What is going on? Welcome to my channel. I am gonna do my first live stream. I'm gonna try to show my methods of post processing. I'm gonna show two images that I recently posted. I know some people were asking me about the foot soldier images. If I really had that many foot soldiers, the answer is no. I have two. I just composited several images. I stacked them and made that one image. And I'm also probably gonna go over my Yosagi Yojimbo shot that I posted as well. And I hope um, people can see what I do and maybe apply it to their methods. Now, keep in mind that these methods are not necessarily the correct way. There's so many different ways of doing it. This is just my approach, and I learn new methods as I go, especially with Photoshop becoming so advanced now, and so many new features that they've added. It's made certain aspects or certain workflows a lot faster. So I wanted to showcase a little bit of what I do in my post processing and how I get my images, my final images, from once I've already taken the shots, and then I'll import it into Photoshop. I'll stack them. I'll do the overlays, and then I will take it back into Camera Raw, and I'll go ahead and edit the colors and the tones a little bit, contrasts, and then I'll bring it back into Photoshop, and I'll run a few more actions to get the right look that I'm looking for. So I'll be showcasing that tonight. So I'm hoping you all enjoy it. Let me go ahead and take a moment and say hello to everybody that's here. I got KJ Smith. What's going on, buddy? Insightful, a highly postable crew. TJ, what is going on? How you all doing? So, but yeah, that's what I wanted to showcase today. So I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, and then I'll get started with the first shot. I'll be doing the foot soldier shot first, so you guys can see how I did that. And for that final shot, it took 5 different images stacked to get the final shot. So I wanted to show that first, and then I'll end it with the Usagi shot. But let me go ahead and get this going. So let me see, get this going here, bring this over. All right. So unlike the majority of the people, I do not use Lightroom. I'm not a fan of Lightroom. I import all my images onto a app or software called Adobe Bridge. It's more of a file organization application, but it does have the features of Camera Raw on there. So I will be using Adobe Bridge with Camera Raw from Photoshop. So right here, what you guys are looking at is Adobe Bridge. And these 5 images are the 5 images that I use to make that final image of the foot soldiers. So I'll be opening all these 5 in Photoshop. And the way I do that, since I already have the 5 images selected, I go to Tools, Photoshop, and load files into Photoshop layer. And what this will do, it'll load all the files in different layers in Photoshop in one document. But I already have that ready. So here you can see the layers. I have all 5 layers here. I'm going to turn each one off so you guys can see what each one is. And of course, the final result will be this image right here. This is already with everything, all the images stacked the way I want them, and the color tones that I wanted for the shot, the cinematic look that I wanted. So this is I'm hoping to recreate this same end result. It may look different because sometimes I want to try something different, and I may like the new changes, but we'll take it from there. So the first thing you want to do when you do your shot, so say you're gonna do a shot like this, and you only have two figures. I always tell everybody the key thing to building an army is 3 figures. 5 is ideal. If you can get 5, you always want an odd number, never an even number. But 3 you can build an army with. Unfortunately, I only had 2, so it makes it a little bit difficult, but it's not something that can't be done. It can be easily done. But the main thing you want to focus on when you're setting up your shot is that you're gonna have to have one figure in focus the whole time. You never want to move your camera whatsoever from that main focal point. So for here, the enforcer was my main focal point. So my camera never moved. This once I got this first shot in, and this was the first shot. Um, I knew I was never gonna move him, and since I had two, this foot soldier that's here, I also did not move him. I left him there too, just to leave him as reference. They made it easier for me. The only foot soldier that I moved and reposed and added different weapons on is this guy right here. This is the only one that I ended up doing any changes to. And I just saw something that I didn't notice in the final, but we'll see. So first things first is you're gonna, if you have Photoshop, you have all your layers here. You want to highlight all your layers. You want to go to Edit, and you're gonna go to this feature right here, Auto Align Layers. What this is gonna do, it's gonna align all the figures, everything that's in the same image. It's gonna try to align all those together on one plane. Um, Now, in theory, if you don't touch your camera, everything should be the same. But even when you have it on a tripod, or at least for me, I've noticed that after a certain time of pushing that shutter, the my focal point drops just by a millimeter or two. And it's not every time, but sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of weird. I don't know why it does it. Um, but it does. So this kind of helps me make sure that everything gets realigned. So I'm gonna run this right now. And let me hope that so there everything's aligned. Now you can see the edges. Um, you can see that there's some edges here, and these are obviously that the layers weren't completely aligned, so it left a gap or a border, which it's okay. That'll I'm gonna end up cropping everything, and I'm probably gonna do that now since I have everything highlighted. I'm gonna go ahead and take my crop tool. Let me clear this. This is the last setting I had. And I'm gonna make sure that I come in past the transparent area. I'll bring this in right about here. And this is gonna assure me that all the layers, I'm not gonna have any of that weird gap on the side. So now, now I start from the top layer. So from the second layer below this one, I know I have this foot soldier right here that I want to bring into this shot. So I'm going to add a layer mask here. I will get a brush, and I will make sure I have it on black. And let me get my pin. And all I'm going to do is just reveal that lower layer here. And I know this is where the foot soldier's at. And just work them in here. And since I know that this foot soldier is on, and the elite enforcer is on every single shot, I don't have to be so worried about if I go over this, it's gonna remove some of him. So I can easily just go in here and just add this foot soldier with no problems. I'm not gonna lose any information from that foot soldier. The one I'm gonna have to worry about eventually would be this guy because he's gonna change, but these two are not. And so as you can see, I brought this soldier in here. And the next step I do is I'm going to go ahead and merge these two layers together because I'm already done. I'm happy. I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to merge layers. And that makes that layer now one layer. So the next layer below this is going to be this full soldier on this side. Now this is the one I'm going to have to be careful with because he's obviously further back from this guy. But I want to keep him here. And so one thing I can do is I can go ahead and go to my quick selection tool and try to select this foot soldier as best as I can. Everything on this side. And I'm going to make this out of the way. I'm going to clean these edges up a little bit. Oh, that's too much. So I don't need all this here. Because this is where I need to have that foot soldier up here. But I do need this here. I need a little bit of here. I don't need this gap here. And I do need this section here. So all this is going to do is protect this here. Now, I don't need to worry about this too much here. This, like the soldier would not be here. So that's as much as I need. Now, what I'm going to do here is I am going to go ahead and inverse the selection. Now, what I can do, oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I went a little too far ahead, but I should have added the mask first. There we go. Now let me do this again, because I want to make sure that I don't mask that entire spot. I want to brush in the mask myself. And now, like I said, keep in mind, there's probably better ways of doing this. This is just a method that I have been doing for a while, and it works for me. Um, Everybody's probably does this differently than I do, and that's okay. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. So, and I will go back to the chat in a little bit. I'm pretty sure. If you guys want to ask questions, go ahead. I will look at the chat in a moment, and I will try to answer as best as I can. I need this bow here. I need the string. I probably won't need it that far up. Okay, there's my selection. Now I'm going to go back to select. I want to inverse the selection. So now on my mask, since everything that's in this portion is what is going to be affected by the mask. So now I go back to my brush, and I'm going to slowly bring that other foot soldier in here. And like again, since I have the enforcer in all the shots, he will not be affected by it. I need to bring his other leg over here. Okay, let me drop the selection now. And I need to double check. I think I need to add a little more here. And again, there's the next foot soldier. Now that I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and merge these two layers and go to the next one. So this is the process I go through when I'm doing the composites, when I'm trying to build an army with just 2 figures or 3 figures. Like I said, ideally you want 3 figures and you could build a massive army with that. But yeah, so the next shot. Now, on all these shots, I did use my fog, and a lot of the layers have different. Of course, the fog's not going to be the same in every single shot, but there are some fog effects and traces that I do want to keep from certain layers, and I do try to bring those in as well. So, but for this next shot, all I want is that foot soldier, and if I do bring in some of that fog that's in the back, as you can see, there's some nice fog back here. All that's going to come in this shot. And again, I'm going to have to be careful with this selection also, because these obviously are not here in this next shot. So I do need to be careful when I bring in that other foot soldier here. Not as much, but especially the spear will be okay. But it's just this guy's head might get affected by it. So I'm going to go ahead and select this next guy here. Oops. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm going to select this soldier here. think that's all I need. I needed this over here. Just a little bit there, because I think his foot is right there. All right, I'm gonna go again, select, inverse it. Go back to my mask. Bring my brush back out. I'll go a little bigger here. And we're gonna bring this guy in here. I'll make sure I get all the details. Nothing gets left out. Deselect my selection. I'm satisfied with the mask. I'm gonna go ahead and merge these layers. Now, something I used to do before this, I used to keep all the layers, but I've noticed that keeping all the layers and then making a copy of all the layers and then merging that and then just keeping the originals, so that way if you want to go back, you can do that. I don't do that anymore, because usually once I'm done with these composites, I'm pretty happy with it. I hardly ever go back and revisit them to do any changes to it. But yeah, this is pretty much the process I go through all these composites I do. So for this next shot, we got one more foot soldier. And again, for this one, I don't need to worry about this foot soldier right here, because he's obviously in the shot. I don't need to do a selection like I did with these two. So to bring in this foot soldier is going to be very easy. Just got to make my mask, get my brush. I can make a big brush here, and then just bring this guy in. Oh, except for this guy. I went too far. There we go. I forgot. That's my bad. But that is a quick fix, though. And here we go. Oh, one thing actually, now that I remember, on my original shot, I didn't include that leg. It looked odd. And luckily, since I have so much fog here, you really don't need to see it. I mean, you can, with your imagination, like, it's there. It's just you can't really see it because of the thickness of the fog. I just did not like the way this looked here. It looked very odd. It didn't look very, very pleasing to the eye. So now that I remember, I did not include that leg at all. So I went ahead and just put that back to the way it was and just kept this guy's leg here. Kept the fog here. And that's it. So now that I got all my images ready, I'm going to go ahead and merge these two layers. Now I'm going to take it back into Camera Raw. So my next step from here is go to Filter. I'm going to go to Camera Raw. Now it's going to bring it back over here, but it moved it right here. Here's the Camera Raw. So this is almost the same features as what Lightroom has. At least what I use, you get these same tools in Lightroom. I just like using Camera Raw more than Lightroom, and I like using Adobe Bridge more than Lightroom. I've never been a fan of Lightroom, the way their filing system works. To me, it's just a nuisance having to look for the figures. I like having quick access to it. So from here, I do want to make the colors pop a bit more, and bring a little bit more exposure to the ninjas. So I'm going to select these ninjas in the front. This guy in the back, I'm not too concerned with. He has plenty of light. So I'm going to bump up the exposure just a bit. Okay. And pop the contrast a little bit. I'm going to drop some of the highlights. I'm going to drop a little bit of the shadows. I'm going to drop a little bit of the whites. And usually I either boost up the blacks or bring it down. I think I want to bring it down. And that's all I'm going to do to that. And then I'm going to bump up the texture. I'm going to bump up the clarity. Bump up the dehaze it a little bit. Add a little bit of vignette. Usually I don't do this, but I'm going to add a little bit on this one. I just want to see the difference. And then there's some added tools on here that I do like. I started using recently. It really it sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't work all the time. It does have a cinematic style that I like to use sometimes. And I believe for the final shot, I used this right here. If not, it's okay. Actually, this looks good. Yeah. So I'll run this. I'm happy with how this looks now. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to go back to Photoshop. And it applied everything that I did in camera. It applied it to the final image here. Now I do like to run one more um action, and it's a cinematic color based action that I have customized. I think I've shared these actions, my actions. I've shared them with a few people. If you guys are interested and don't have them and want to try some of the actions that I have, uh, go ahead and send me a DM on Instagram, and I'll be glad to help you guys there. And I'll go ahead and share it with you all. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this action right here. But before I do that, in order for these actions to work, this layer needs to be a locked layer. So I'm gonna go over here to layers, make a background from the layer, and it'll become a background, and it's locked. Now I'll go ahead and run this layer, this action, and this is my final image. So this is how I got that final image. It's probably, yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, essentially, this is my process. This is how I do my composites. Um, it's not very difficult to do. Just as long as you have your one figure that you're not gonna move whatsoever, because you need to keep that focal point on that figure. Make sure that once you have it focused, you set your camera to manual, because you're gonna take several shots as you reposition the other figures that you use. Um, but yeah, it's fairly simple. And like I said, man, three figures is key to build a massive army. It makes it a lot easier. You can do it with two, but you struggle a little bit because, like there was a few here that I had to do the selection with. If I had the three figures, I probably would have already had. I would have had him and him locked. Those would have already been there. The third figure would have been these back here, and it would have been so much easier to do the composite. Um, ah, Thank you, TJ. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to do as much. Like I plan to do more of these. I hope this catches on. People enjoy watching these. I also do want to do live photo shoots. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics on that and trying to figure out how to get my camera to be synced with the StreamYard, or at least to show up on StreamYard. I haven't been able to do that yet, but I wanted to go ahead and do this tutorial, or at least show my process. But I know several people were asking me how I did this shot. If I actually had all these foot soldiers, and no, I don't. I only have two. I only have two of the regular foot soldiers, and then of course the one enforcer. And I did the similar thing with the elite foot soldiers. That shot also. Um, let me bring it up. On that shot as well, I did the same. I did the same thing. Bring that up. This was done the same way. I only have two of these. And the one that I kept in focus was this guy right here. This is the only foot soldier that did not move in all the shots. The other one I had, like I repositioned them, reposed them, and then gave him a different weapon, and that's how I got this shot. It was the same process, same method I did for that. But it would have been a lot easier if I had three, because I could have kept these two here, and then it would have just been that other one just moving around. I probably would have added more, but I think I was inspired by a scene from one of the turtle cartoons where the elite soldiers, when they show up, there was four of them, and they were all holding different weapons, looking at the turtles. So this was inspired by that. But yes, this was my method of doing this shot. If you guys have any questions on this one, let me know before I move on to the other shot. Let me get back over here. She'll explain it some other time, KJ. she's getting her beauty rest. She will show her process some other time. I got a little rest, man. She needs some sleep. Artists need their sleep to get that creativity to be able to flow and all that good stuff. That's too funny, man. I had to get 78 daughter and my daughter to do a live stream on how they do their shooting process. But yes, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next shot. I don't want to keep you guys here too long. So yeah, the next shot is gonna be the Usagi Yojimbo. I'm gonna go back to my NECA folder here. I have my Usagi folder, have my raws, and the shot I used was this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the camera raw first here, since this is just one image that I used. Usually when I have a composite, I load the images onto Photoshop. I go ahead and auto align. I do all the adjustments I want to do there, and then I'll merge all the layers and do the one image, and then I bring it to camera raw. On this shot, I'm going to go the other way around. Normally what I do when I only have one image to work with. So from here, I mean, this has already been, the settings are here already, but I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to open in camera raw, and it brings up the same camera raw window that I had. But I've already done the adjustments. So as you can see here, so on this is where I brought in, I bumped up the exposure on this area here. So this is what I selected. I wanted to make sure that you can see that little alien. And then of course I wanted to make Usagi's face pop a little bit more. So I went and masked that area and bumped up the exposure on him as well. And then I did one more exposure bump on just the little scope on his eye. Because I wanted to make that pop with some glows that I do in Photoshop. I add some effects on it to give it that nice little glow that you see in the final image. So once I get all this done, and then I selected also the same cinematic style, because I really like that style. So from here, I'm gonna go ahead and open this in Photoshop. And here we go. All right. So on this shot, there's really not a whole lot that I did. All the processing I did in camera raw. The one thing I did do is just I ran that action that I like to run as well, the cinematic color base. I went ahead and ran that, and it's just gonna make this pop. And then the next thing I did is I have another action that I like to run. It's called an iris sparkle. So what all this does is it'll brighten up the colors in this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and just brush over this so you can see how that changed. It's subtle, but it enhances it a lot. So the next thing I did now is I made another layer, and I went ahead and just took a color from here. Now keep in mind that I'm gonna brush this color on here. It's gonna look weird, but trust me, I'll explain it right now. So now that I have that painted in there, so I'm gonna remove the fill. Like I don't need the color to show, so I'm gonna remove that fill. Now it's gone, but the layer's still there, still active. So what I'll do is I'll double click on this layer, and it'll bring this layer styles action, and this is where I'll add the glow. So here's the inner glow, and you can see the subtleness change a little bit. And then I also added an outer glow that gives it that little haze glow effect around the eye. And that is all I did for this shot. That was my final shot here. And then I can show you the final. Here's the final. Oops. Yeah, here we go. Let me get this out of the way. I don't need to cancel that. Here we go. Final shot and the shot I just did. But yeah, so this one actually I matched it up pretty well. Yeah, and like I said, usually when it's just one image that I'm just working with, I don't need to worry about stacking so many. My process is quick. I do all my editing, all my touch ups, the contrast, and if I need to bump the exposure stuff, I do that all in Camera Raw. I don't like using Lightroom. You get that same feature in Lightroom. I don't even think there's much of a difference from the Camera Raw than what you can do in Lightroom. It's pretty much the same. At least for me, I just prefer the Camera Raw. It's a lot quicker. And then I'll bring it into Photoshop. I'll do my final touch-ups here, and that's pretty much it. Like that's all I did with these shots. Maz, what's going on, buddy? That's true. Oh, so you're going to work now. I thought you were at work already. But yeah, this is a quick rundown of my process. Hopefully, when I do another one, it'll be a little bit more in depth. I mean, I'm hoping for you all that joined, you guys get to see a little bit of how I do my workflow, and how I do my composites, especially for the foot soldiers. This shot. Um, but yeah, this is pretty much how I do these shots, and how I bump up the contrast, the colors, the color tones. I like to use a lot of cinematic actions. I like that cinematic look for a lot of my shots. Some of the shots I don't do the cinematic um, action. I love how I do capture some of the colors, especially like the plunderling stuff. Like a lot of that, like I didn't do any of that extra stuff. What you see there is what I caught in camera. But I do love these type of shots like this to get this cinematic feel for it. Ooh, damn. Yeah, I have to do a photo shoot tomorrow morning at the church. So I have to get up early too. But yeah, man, if you guys have any questions, man, let me know. Um, I know this live was pretty quick. Like we're only 33 minutes into the live stream, and I didn't think I was gonna go through it that quick. I was hoping to go for about an hour. But yeah, shoot me any questions. Unless I could do another shot. Do I have one ready? Let me see. No, I can't show that yet, so I gotta wait on that. Well, you know what? I can do the composite again. So I don't need to save that. Let's close. I don't need to save this one either. I don't need this. Oh, this is ready. All right, let me do the elites. Mm-hmm. I'll do the elites as well. You guys can see what I did there too. Here we go. So I use that shot. I use this shot, this shot, this shot, and I believe that's it. Yes, this was only 4 shots that I used. Okay. So here I'm gonna go, instead of opening it on Camera Raw, I'm going straight to Photoshop from here. So I'm gonna go to Tools, Photoshop, load files into Photoshop layers. All right, all my layers are loaded up. Like I said, the 1 foot soldier or the 1 elite soldier I did not move at all was this guy right here in the middle. So my focal point stayed on him the whole time. He never moved at all. This one was a little tricky because where I had this base balance, it was not stable. I don't know why. I've never had that issue before. Um, so it was a little nerve wracking because I know every time I moved the other soldier around, it moved the base a little bit, and he would move just a bit, but he stayed pretty much where he was supposed to. So I'm kind of glad he didn't move too much. But I'm gonna go through the steps again. So I'm gonna highlight all the layers. I am gonna go to edit. I'll go to auto align layers. This is going to align all the layers. And again, my camera moved just enough that I have this gap right here. And on this side too, you can see it right here. But that's not an issue because I always crop. So I'm going to bring this side in a little bit. And I'm going to bring this close to this edge here. But I want to keep some of these little elements on the bottom. Bring this down a little bit to get this guy as much as I can on to the thirds. Right there. Go ahead and accept the crop. And again, we're going to run through all the layers, bringing each soldier in. So the first foot soldier on this one is going to be the one on the right. And so I'm going to go ahead and add my mask. Get my brush. And like I said, since this soldier is here the whole time, I'm not too worried about having to make sure that he's going to be removed. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that my color is on black because black reveals and white conceals. So I'll bring this guy in here. Make sure I get everything. And some of the fog elements too. So I did like some of the, like this wisp back here. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and do the merge. I'll merge these two layers because I don't need that other one anymore. So here I'm going to bring, oh, you know what? That's right. I forgot. I didn't use this shot. Let me do this again, guys. I'm sorry. Now that I remember, I did not use this shot. I was not happy with that pose. This is the shot that needs to come up here. All right, let me do this again. It was 3 shots that I used. Here we go. See, you guys get to see when I make my screw ups, and then I realize. So I'm going to bring him in because I was happy with this guy here. He's done. Kind of merge. So I'm going to bring the last foot soldier in here. So we're going to go ahead and do the mask again. Now this one I got to be a little careful because he is pretty close to this other guy. So make my brush smaller. Get that spear in here. Get some of that away. Make sure everything's good to go. Actually, I think I want some of that back in here. Fog. And that's it. Merge these layers. I'm going to go ahead and make this layer. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the camera raw filter. Here we go. Now I want it to bring these foot soldiers in a bit more. Select subject. Normally this does a pretty good job of selecting what I want. Now on here you can notice that it's selected quite a bit more than just the subjects. But you know what? With me boosting the exposure a little bit, it's just going to increase the exposure on some of that fog, but it's not so noticeable. You see just a little bump, and I just need a little bump. I don't need a whole lot here. Bump up the contrast a bit. Highlights down a little bit. I think on this one I bumped up the shadows. The whites as well. No, actually whites I dropped. And the blacks I dropped a little bit. And again, I'm going to go ahead and bump up some of the texture. I'm going to get the clarity a little bit up, dehaze it just a bit. And again, I'm going to give it that cinematic look again. Click OK. It's going to come back to Photoshop. And then I'm going to run my other cinematic action just to make it pop. And bam. There's my process. Everybody knows my secrets. So it's not too difficult. I mean, and I know I'm saying it's not too difficult, but I mean, yeah, I've been doing it a while. But and like I said earlier at the beginning, like this is not the only method. This is not the correct method either. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing this. This is just the way I do it, and I've learned new ways of doing it, especially with the updates that Photoshop has given us. Especially with the AI stuff, like that's insane. But as you can see, I didn't use any AI on this shot. The background is a digital background. It's a cyberpunk themed background that I did. Um, so I've been using that as a background for the foot soldiers and pretty much a lot of my Ninja Turtle stuff lately. Especially if you've seen any of my Ninja Turtle work that has this pink and blue lighting set up on it, it's pretty much like a cyberpunk themed background that I use in the back. I just match up the color lighting on the sides, and then of course my environmental light. I match it to be kind of give it that bluish tone, which is that blue tone you see on the top here. And then the pink is I have a light on camera left, and on this one I had a blue light camera right as well. That's come you can see some of this blue edging right here. But yes, so that's pretty much it. I'm hoping to show my like a live stream of my behind the scenes because I know people have been wanting me to showcase how I did that. I've done a few on Instagram, but it's not the same. It's such a small screen. But I'm just trying to figure out how to set up my cameras. But yeah, shoot me any questions, man. If you all have any questions, let me know. I will be posting this. I'm hoping I can do it if I don't mess up. I'll post it on my YouTube channel. That way, you guys can watch the replay if you guys need to watch the replay. You guys can also leave me any messages on there, or if you're following me on Instagram, just shoot me a DM in there. I'll be happy to help you all out with anything if I can. Uh, but yeah, so this is pretty much my process. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you all did enjoy it, let me know. Shoot me a DM here or on Instagram. Let me know if you guys want to see more stuff like this. Or ask, or let me know what you guys want to see. And like what you guys want me to show you. If there's other stuff that you guys want me to show, but I mean, I don't do a whole lot much different than what I just showed here. It depends also on the shoots. I'm hoping to do another stream of some processing for a project I recently did, but I'm just waiting to get the all clear before I can start showcasing any of that. But yeah, this is pretty much it. Hope you all enjoyed it. I recommend you guys go check out Yimbo, his channel, or Between Two Sentinels. I know they're going over the X-Men cartoon. If you guys haven't seen it, then I would not recommend you guys go check them out because they are going over spoilers. So just to keep you guys, just to let you all know. What's up, Mike? Thank you, Mike. I hope I hope I didn't sound too dumb. Being by myself is a little different than when I'm with you all because I'm trying to make sure that I'm speaking because usually I don't speak when I'm doing this work. I'm just in the zone and it's just like I'm going through it. So I'm trying to keep my mind, making sure that I'm explaining what I'm doing so you all can see as I'm doing my work. But I have come a long way from doing my composites. I know if you all have been following me on Instagram, you guys have seen a lot of my older shots, like from the Mythic Legions when I did the composites. It was pretty much the same way, except with those, it was the majority of those figures is just one figure, and that was done a little different because I had to cut each figure out from the background and then layer them onto a image of just the background on its own. That's a little bit different, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I may do that. Let me know if y'all want to see something like that one. That one's a little bit more trickier, but it's also not too bad. It's just a little time consuming. It takes more work, and that one you have to really be careful with your lighting. You really need to make sure you have enough lighting to separate the figure from the background. So as and for that light that you have in the background not to spill over too much onto the figure. And if it is going to spill on the figure, you need to make sure that the lighting stays the same for every single shot you do. Because yeah, you'll run into issues if it's not. Then you're gonna have to try to match up the colors, and yeah, it's a little bit more. The process is a little different on that. I may do a video on that too. I feel you, Mike. Yeah, but y'all, man, feel free to ask any questions, and I'll see if I can answer. If I can answer it, I'll answer your questions now before I end this live. We're at 46 minutes, so surprisingly, I'm under an hour. I seriously thought I was going to be more, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I save the video so you guys can go back to it if you guys want. Have a replay, or maybe next time I'll do a live stream with Mike. We'll do a post processing stream. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad for my first solo post processing live stream. But yeah, let me all know. Let me know. But yes. Okay. Let me see. But yeah. But all right, guys. I'll go ahead and let you all go. Yes. Enjoy your weekend. Catch all these other great streams that are going on now. And don't forget to catch our live stream on Tuesdays. Um, the Toy Photography Talk on Maz's channel. We're live every Tuesday. I don't think we have a guest lined up this Tuesday. No, there's no guest this Tuesday. But we'll be going over those photos. Continue going over the photos. There's so many photos we need to go over. Maybe I need to go over some photos on my channel too. There's so many we need to do. So many we need to do. Yeah. Yes, that's my process. Thank you, TJ. Thank you. I hope to do better. Hopefully, I mean, this is my first time doing it like this. I think there might be some things I may do different, but overall, I think it turned out all right. Hope you all learned a little something if you guys didn't know how to do certain things. And if you guys don't have Photoshop, and if you're able to get Photoshop, I recommend you get Photoshop. And I mean, you'll get Lightroom with it. But like I said, personally, I don't like using Lightroom. I just use Camera Raw, and because I do minute adjustments on there, and then pretty much all the rest of the color correction and the final look and touch ups I do in Photoshop. Photoshop is a great tool. I mean, Mike, you were saying it earlier in your live stream. I was like, it's pretty much, it's no different than when people were developing film. It's just, this is digital versus chemical. So, but yes, but on that note, I'll go ahead and call it here. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for everybody that came and joined me for my first live stream. I don't know if I'll continue doing it on Saturdays. I may do it another day. I don't want to be in a time slot where there's other streams. I need to figure that out, or either that or me push it to a later time. I know I started at 9 Central. I may push it to 10. We'll see for the next one. I don't know if I'm going to do one every week or one every 2 weeks. I still need to figure that out. But let me know in the comments what you guys, if you guys want to see more of this more frequently. DM me here, DM me on Instagram, and yeah, we'll take it from there. But all right, everyone. You guys have a good night. Peace.